Hi everyone, it's Asia Marquet here, Lemon Creation, and today I am creating from one background two different sets of ATCs which are gonna go in my next orders to my customers. So let me know in the comments which set is your favorite and stay tuned. Today I'm gonna be doing quite a big set of ATC cards. Lately I'm doing big sets of ATCs usually because I put them, or at least I would like to put them in every single order which comes from you guys, which you place in my shop. But this is not possible. I cannot do it. I cannot put it in every single envelope, even though I would like so much. But that's why I actually do a big sets of ATCs. Like that I have more and I can much easier put them with your orders. I'm using two of my stencils for this project and Lindy's gang sprays, and the full list of products, of course, you're gonna find in the description box below this video. As you can see, I'm struggling a little bit with the sprays. Lindy's, I've never had a problem with spraying. They are quite nice to spray, but I have to tell you honestly that lately I am encountering a little bit of problems, and I think this is due to the fact that some of my sprays are really old. And that's what's happening. I guess, you know, there is always some spray which stays in the nozzle, and at the end it's harder to spray. So as you can see, I was struggling a little bit, but still I managed to spray. But as I said, I never had any problems with it, so it's lately, and I am using Lindy's a little bit less lately also, so they stay quiet on their shelves a little bit longer. So I guess that's add up also, because if they are used regularly, this doesn't happen. And I don't know why I've done this part. I just wanted to add a little bit of yellow. At the same time, now I am thinking that just leaving, you know, the negative stenciling would be just fine, because with the yellow I kind of covered this beautiful imprint. So negative stenciling, for those of you who don't know, and I think most of you know, but I will just explain, is when I actually spray first through the stencils, and then I flip them over. And I did negative stenciling by just gently, like, you know, squeezing the stencil to the paper with the tissue, so I don't get my hands dirty most of all, but also so the transfer is much better. And like that you get two different prints from the same stencil, and very often the second print, the negative print, is the one I prefer. So yes, there is a lot of yellow here now. Now for the fun part, I'm gonna be cutting this paper into ATC size, and I love actually adding first the colors to the paper and then cutting it to the size, because you never know in which place the cut is gonna go. So there is always the element of surprise, and I love that. I always love that, you know, that there is a small surprise. I think I actually forgot to record the part when I add a little bit of white sprays with the, or white splatter with the chalk white from Lindy's gang, so you can see the white parts on the paper. But that was just a splatter I added, so nothing really, you know, very technical or very important. And I am cutting the paper into, well, it's not really ATC size. It's a little tiny bit smaller than actual ATCs, because as I usually do, I'm gonna be adding the backing to them. So I kind of make a frame with the back paper underneath, and this back paper will be exactly the ATC size. So those are a little bit smaller. And as you've seen at the photos at the beginning of the film, you know, the actual backing paper is the ATC size, and these ones are a tiny bit smaller. that add, I think, a little bit of charm also to ATC cards. Not to mention that the back of them, of this paper, which is surely a little bit dirty, or not really, but usually when you use paste or paints or wherever, a lot of mediums, you get the transfer at the back of the paper. So I like to add some backing to it. So like that, the back of the ATCs is clean. And this is very important for me, especially that I am sending them over in your envelopes, in your orders. And for those of you who would like to do ATC swaps with me, I really do apologize. I simply do not have time to do that. So that's why also when I hear people who wants to do ATC swaps, I am saying that usually I do add these cards to the orders. And actually, if you really want, I do appreciate if you place an order in my shop, you can send me an email, just a short email after placing the order saying that, listen, I would like very much to get one of your ATCs or make a swap with you. And for me, it's so much easier to just, you know, with the order, add the card into the envelope. I don't have to do all this, you know, writing in the envelope and all that stuff, because anyway, I have to prepare the order. So that saves me a lot of time. And if I get lucky and I get your card in return, if it's really a real swap, I will be very happy as well. But of course, this is not a requirement of any kind. My shop is so small, I'm trying to really add the personal touch, trying to also attract customers like that. But also because I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate so much the fact that you are buying from me. So in every one of my orders, you're gonna find some freebies, my papers or other things. And yes, in most of them also some kind of a small art. So as you can see right now, I had one paper which I made a mistake when I was cutting, and it's a tiny bit smaller than the others. This one which I'm working with, I cut it because it was quite long. I cut it with the scissors to make it kind of square on the backing, and those are my backings from the craft paper. Because I was thinking that craft paper will go well with these colors I've chosen. And I darkened the edges of every single ATCs with the how is the color, brown, with the brown color. It's, I think, vintage sepia. It's a permanent one, Versafine ink. I'm gonna be adding a tiny bit of stenciling to the stamping to the cards, but I actually couldn't use this ink. It inked quite well the edges of the card, but it's quite dry. I think I have it for like 5 years already or more. So it's a really right time to throw it out, I think, because it's so small that even re-inking it doesn't really make sense. So I am using instead Distress Oxide vintage photo, and I'm gonna be adding a little bit of random stamping, you know, a little bit of circles mostly. Some of them will be kind of, you know, disappearing from the cards, because I find this is really nice when you just don't do it the whole image, but make a half of it, or, you know, just kind of like it's disappearing somewhere. I'm gonna speed it up, I think, this process a little bit, because it's quite repetitive. I'm using my stamps. I find them quite versatile, so I can use them on a lot of projects, and they are a little bit crunchy also, so that really works fine with me. You know me by now, and for those of you who don't, that's how I work with a little bit of crunch. I have to tell you, I had a really hard time with picking up the focal points, because me being me, I always pick up my focal points at the end. well, maybe not always, but quite often I actually do make a card and then try to fit something to it. And those are the downloads from Etsy. I'm gonna give you the name of the shop who's selling them. So I download them, printed them out, and use them on the cards. And actually, I was thinking to use a little bit of butterflies and flowers and things like that. Finally, I decided to stick with these funky-looking, beautiful animals. And I also did one part of the cards which are with steampunk elements. And as you can see, it was not a very easy task, and I finished by not using any of the butterflies or my elements or anything like that, because I just thought that they do not suit the cards properly. And for the second part of the ACC cards, I used paper elements from Art Alchemy. This is a Polish company whose owner is Karolina Bukowska, and you probably know her from Instagram or other social media, but I give you a link to her shop or to her in the description. I darken the edges of every single element, the steampunks and the animals, because they are cut from quite a thick paper, so the paper is visible, the white edges are visible, and I didn't like that, so every single element was actually darkened with the permanent marker. And now the harder part, or the hardest part of this whole project, I had to glue every single element. Meanwhile, I finished my tacky glue, so I'm using a normal school stick kind of glue. And if you are wondering how am I doing because it kind of looks that I'm putting the glue on the actual picture, they are printed on both sides of the paper, so you have two images. And it's very funny, it's quite nice, but I've never had a paper which is like that, you know, with the images at the back and at the front, which are perfectly aligned. And of course I also did that with the backing, with the piece of paper, you know, piece of craft paper. Quite often I use, to do that, I use double-sided tape, but this time I just use the glue like that, but I put some kind of weight on top of each card, so I was sure that that's my weight. So I was making sure that they are gonna get really glued together, and because the craft paper is quite actually thin, I was not afraid to use normal glue. When I have papers which are a little bit textured and which are a little bit thicker, I usually use actually a double-sided tape. I find it's quite strong. So the cards are dry already, or the glue is dry rather, and there is here is this birdie which accidentally lost both of his legs. They were so tiny that when I was cutting or fuzzy cutting, I just made a one bad movement and I lost his legs. I amputated them, but I was not happy about it. I feel guilty. So here they are. I'm trying to draw them back. And I decided to give him a little bit of, you know, a branch to sit on. So like that also I fill up a little bit of this ATC. And I kind of actually like the way it looks right now. For the sentiment, I decided to go for something a little bit kind of steampunky vintage. So here we go, clipping stickers from Tim Holtz. They are quite nice. They have kind of nice sentences, like, you know, almost taken out from the books. Some of them are not making too much sense to me, but that's because probably I am not really a native English speaker person. So that would be that. I was thinking also to use sentiments from Finavar, but finally I found them a little bit too big actually for the font are too big for the small tiny cards, so I stuck only with the ones from Team Holtz. And I was trying still to add something to each personality, like, you know, making it a little bit nicer and making a little bit more sense whichever way I could. So here they are, all of my cards. Two different sets, yet similar because the background is almost the same. But some of them are steampunk and other are weird and funky looking. Honestly, I think I prefer the weird and funky looking than the steampunk, but there was a time when I really loved steampunk, and I know a lot of you do as well. So we'll see who's gonna get what in the orders, which are gonna come. Because I have quite a lot of them left, and I'm gonna put them in the next envelopes. So this is it from me today. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and as always I ask you kindly to subscribe to my channel, to hit the notification bell button, and I'm always grateful for any type of comments. Wishing you a beautiful day, beautiful week, and I hope I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye bye.